Welcome into another Modcast. Look at y'all. Y'all look good, man. Jeffrey Lee, Cole Pinkston. How y'all doing on this beautiful morning?
Fantastic.
Jeffrey's in the woods again. He's got the background. So
I brought my green screen.
He's got a green screen in the woods.
And you're muted.
Dude, for some reason on this one, if I don't know, it goes out and in. But anyways, opening day is tomorrow. Today is Friday, by the way. We're actually recording on Friday today. And Auburn's got New Mexico State. In the morning? No. In the evening? No. 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, right?
I think that's my least favorite time slot.
It is.
Honestly.
It's not great. It kind of kills your morning and it kind of kills your night for us that cover it because I'm there 2 hours beforehand. That's 1, 12. And then you're there till 8:30. So, yeah, it's the worst.
I've gotten to where I kind of like an 11 o'clock game.
Love an 11 o'clock.
I used to hate those. Now I love them on this side of things because then you get to go home and finish up what you're doing that day and watch a little football while you're working.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, let's talk. We're going to hit on a little bit of basketball. We'll just kind of briefly talk about the Notre Dame game. We'll talk about New Mexico State. We'll tease on some recruiting, but we'll do all that good stuff today. But let's start with prize picks.
Prize picks. Since we're recording on Friday this week, we're recording Friday morning for all you folks out there. We've actually got some projections this week. It's not Auburn related, but projections nonetheless. We'll get to those in just a minute. Want to say if you're not familiar with prize picks, it's a skill-based fantasy game and a lot of fun to do, man. Prize picks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money. You just have to select 2 or more players, pick more or less of the projected stats, and place your entry. So let's see. And the best thing about this, man, they partner with us. If you use the promo code War Eagle, all caps, one word. Yes, I hit my mic. Probably didn't mute. No,
nope, you're good.
War Eagle, all caps, one word. They will match up to $100 to your first deposit. So if you deposit $100, Prospects will give you $100. If you deposit 50, Prospects will deposit 50. Use that promo code War Eagle, all caps, one word. For folks in Alabama and some other states, man, you're gonna have to use the combo blocks, which is just a 2. It's a combine. It's like Cole Pinkston and Jeffrey Lee will say 5.5 times instead of just Jeffrey Lee. So there you go. There's one.
Yeah, take the over.
If you pick 2 to 6 players, if they go more or less in the prospects projection, you can win up to 25 times your money. They've got NHL, NBA, baseball, college football. Hell, I think they've even got racing on here, dude. So you can play every day, all week long, make your projections more or less, and you can win up to 25 times your money, and you can figure it out all on Prospects. Go to that app, download it, use the promo code War Eagle, all caps, one word, and they will match that first $100 deposit. I was looking at some of the projections. I'm more of a quarterback guy myself. So let's say they got Carson Beck, Michael Penix. Is it Penix or Penix? Penix. That's what I said. Joe Milton, DJ.
DJU?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
I always like looking. I always like looking
in town, Jeffrey. We
talked about Unga Yala. I always look at Bo Nix. I figure I know more about him than anybody. So Bo Nix, who's Alan Bowman? Arizona State.
Never heard of him.
Oklahoma State.
I haven't watched them either this year.
562 combined passing yards, 562 and a half. Graham Mertz and Spencer Rattler. There's a couple of SEC folks. Brady Cook, Devin Leary, 496 and a half. So Missouri's got Florida this weekend. Kentucky has South Carolina. A couple of good games there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Florida's got Graham Mertz and Spencer Rattler. So you got the 2 opposing quarterbacks. Graham Mertz, Spencer Rattler, or Brady Cook, Devin Leary. Which combo throws passes for more yards in those games? Graham Mertz, Florida, Spencer Rattler, South Carolina. So those 2 are teamed up. And then on the other side, you got Brady Cook and Devin Leary.
Definitely Mertz and Rattler.
I was going to say their projection is 509.5, and Brady Cook and Devin Leary are 496.5. So they're projected by about 13 yards. Mertz and Rattler. I'm really curious for recruiting sake to see if Florida is going to lose. Is it Missouri?
Yeah, they got Missouri, which
they play at Missouri, and they're taking Florida, bad recruiting week for Florida.
Yes.
Have y'all seen Florida's non-conference schedule for next season? By chance, it is Miami,
nice,
Florida State, of course, that's their rival,
right?
UCF,
and Gainesville.
I can't remember.
Didn't they play a couple years ago, or am I imagining that?
Oh, maybe in a bowl. No, I don't know.
No, maybe.
But their schedule next year does not get any better. There's no doubt. Let's see, Florida State and Texas. They have Texas too in their new SEC schedule.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird about divisions. It's gonna be very hard to get used to.
Strange enough, that is going to be their last game of the season at Texas.
UCF is at home in Gainesville. Man, they've got a brutal schedule next year.
They play Miami, Florida State, and UCF.
Here you go: Miami, UCF, Georgia, Florida State, Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss, A&M, Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Texas.
One cupcake, Sanford.
Sanford is the one, yeah.
That's a hell of a schedule.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Holy shit.
Do you think it'll be a first-year coach's schedule? If they lose to Missouri and their class falls apart, which it's currently doing.
They might not go bowling. They lose to Florida State, Missouri, they're 5 wins.
And they're probably dogs in both of those, right?
For sure. I don't know the temperature down there. I mean, I see some of the criticisms of him. I don't know how hot it. I don't know if it's like we're firing him already hot, or if it's like you got like maybe 4 or 5 games next season.
This is just another example of, hey, recruiting can save you, because his recruiting looks good. I mean, they've lost a couple here, but their class is strong, man.
I think it's still top 5.
Yeah. At least top 10. So they have a really strong class. I mean, he did pretty well in the portal. Graham Mertz is not bad, actually.
I was about to say that. He's not bad. Yeah, you're right.
They just, I'd like to see what he does with another year, personally.
Florida's number 5 right now, and that's including having lost 5-star to Georgia and somebody else. I think there were Jamonte Waller flipped to Auburn. There were 3 they lost last week, and they're still at number 5. That's pretty good. Is this Napier's second or third year?
I think it's year 2.
Then he's gonna get another one.
Yeah. Seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah. You finished with the top 10.
Did you realize that Auburn opens the season next year with California?
Where? Oh, it's certainly not in California.
I just didn't know it was the opener. I knew they played them.
I think they start. I think it's the same thing. Is it like 3 non-conference again to start off, or do they have an SEC slipped in there early?
Starting off with Cal, New Mexico State, although it doesn't say state, and ULM.
It's just New Mexico.
Dude, Auburn's playing at Alabama in week 4. What? No, this is not right.
No, that hadn't been decided. The only opponents have been not.
Okay. Here's Auburn's 2024 opponents: Cal, New Mexico State, ULM, Bama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, A&M, Vandy, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri.
Honestly, I mean, in comparison to Florida's schedule, Arkansas, Vandy, Kentucky, Missouri, you like that better than what they got. Not saying those are wins, but you like it better.
1, 2, 3.
And Oklahoma's in Auburn.
4.
Yeah, well, how was the? 6, I guess because they're working out the kinks and all the new conferences and whatnot. TBA, that's weird to see on a schedule. Alabama,
they're trying to figure out, how do we keep the Iron Bowl at the end? Does A&M and Texas, do they play at the end? They're trying to figure out.
So I take back what I said. Florida does not play Texas last. I was not looking at the date.
Right, there you go.
Okay, that would have been odd. Yeah. It's always going to be Florida State.
Yeah, right.
All right, well, go check out Prize Picks. $100 match. War Eagle, all caps. Use that promo code, and you'll get $100 for free if you deposit $100.
Do it.
Zach says that Alabama, just since we're doing this, has a non-conference against Wisconsin.
Oh,
They have Georgia, Auburn, of course, LSU. These are at LSU, at Oklahoma, at Wisconsin, at Tennessee.
oh.
So not a cakewalk
Well,
there.
this new scheduling is going to make things a lot more interesting. The regular season, at least.
And you got a 12-team playoff coming.
Which this would be the year to have that.
Yeah, really.
Because you've got more than 4 that probably should be in there.
Yes, 100%. More than 4
year to have it this year. But if you're a proponent of the 12 team, this is also good because you can say, see, it's a good idea. It's a good time for it. A lot of parity happening. You can see it sort of rising up. Georgia, Bama, there's still some heavyweights, but a few more teams are rising up because of the transfer portal. You'll see a few more contenders on an annual basis, I think.
I was looking back at my notes from last week from our podcast. Jay Lee's losers are now 3-0.
Nice.
Just saying. I'll give you the fourth lot at the end of the show.
Nice. That's a good tease. That is a good tease. All right, let's talk about a little Auburn real quick, just because I'll forget if we don't. Quick little basketball plug. Auburn beat Notre Dame 83-59 in Brooklyn on Thursday night. Notre Dame's terrible. Sorry. I mean, they just are. They're young, but they're bad. Auburn did what they should have done. Good game from Aiden Holloway. Good game from Janai Broom, Jalen Williams. A bunch of dudes scored.
Trey Donaldson.
Bonaventure. Yeah, Trey had a good game off the bench.
Yeah, he's good.
Trey and Aiden combined for 25 points, 10 assists, and 2 turnovers. Awesome night from the point guards there. St. Bonaventure on Friday night for the Legends Classic Championship, something Auburn won in 2019. So they'll try to win that again. St. Bonaventure, not bad. They're certainly better than Notre Dame. It's a game Auburn should win, but a lot more competitive than what we saw on Thursday night. Notre Dame's picked last in the ACC. They're just not going to be very good this year. But Auburn beat the brakes off of them, which is what you're supposed to do. So,
Justin, you are the basketball guy. I have a question. It might be a dumb one.
No dumb questions. What do they say? No dumb questions. Just dumb people that ask questions.
Oh, okay, all right. I hear you.
You never heard that growing up?
In the face! In the face!
You're like, damn.
Hey, when it comes to basketball, I am pretty dumb, actually. So, no. So these little tournaments like this, I know they count to your record, obviously. How much do these little tournaments get looked at when you're looking at the big tournament and seeding? I mean, do they take into account that this was a tournament? It's not that big of a deal, or is it still a win? You know, a win's a win if it's a good.
I would say that the tournament doesn't matter. It's neutral. It's neutral floor matters, and then of course who you're playing matters. So it could be like Indiana. That's sort of a one game thing. It matters more that it's neutral floor, and then it matters the RPI of the team. So you get a bunch of neutral. So they matter. If you get some neutral non-conference wins, that's good. But it needs to be against, bubble type teams. Notre Dame won't be that. St. Bonaventure maybe. Indiana will be. Indiana's a team that could make the tournament in Atlanta. That's a good one. So they're good. They're neutral site games, and you play them, and you hope when you schedule them, you say, well, okay, Notre Dame maybe they're not good, but maybe St. Bonaventure or Oklahoma State is not bad. And so you schedule in advance, and you're hoping that on some of these neutral site games that a couple of these teams are bubble type teams.
Gotcha.
So by the end of the year, you can go, hey, somebody's got a top 65 RPI, and you played them on neutral. That's not bad. That's a good deal.
I'll tell you, man, I like watching this basketball team. It's fun. Now, granted, I didn't plant myself in front of the TV last night. It was on while I was making calls and stuff, but I'm watching. I watched probably 60% of it, and they're a lot of fun. Now, maybe it was because Notre Dame sucks and they were having their way with them, but it was a lot of fun, man. I like this team. I like the new additions. I like the portal additions. I like watching them, and it makes me want to watch them even more. I have a lot of fun watching them. I think they're good football. I mean, good basketball team. Aren't they pretty good?
They're good. Offensively, they're obviously a lot better. They scored 80 plus in the first 3 games.
No doubt.
Last time they did that was Jabari's team, 80 plus in 3 games. So they clearly can score. And they scored 83 last night. And both your 2 guards, KD and Denver, only made 2 combined shots. So your number 2 position, your shooting guard position, contributed just a few points between 2 guys, and you still scored 83. So there's a lot of weapons. 10 different guys scored.
Yes.
8 different
Very
guys
deep.
scored 6+. There's just a lot of guys that can get you a bucket. Bruce said after the game, 71 is kind of their number defensively. So if they can hold a team to 71, maybe 73, they feel good about winning a bunch of games because they think they can top that offensively.
Last year was just so frustrating for a guy. When I watch basketball, I want to be entertained. I don't want to be frustrated and annoyed. And that team last year, they couldn't shoot. It was just frustrating to watch. And I know Bruce was probably more frustrated than anybody, but this team seems like they can shoot. When I see Trey Donaldson, I see the safety recruit. He signed and he was going to play both sports.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised when he chose basketball. But I remember after he signed, I was running into Bruce, and he was like, "No, dude, this kid's a basketball player." I said, "Okay." And I like him coming off the bench.
To me, he fits Bruce's style a lot better than Wendell Green did as a point guard. Because, and again, I don't study it like you do, Justin. But from an outsider's standpoint, it just looks like I feel like Bruce Pearl needs a guy that is like a bull as a driver. And Jared Harper, as small as he was, that's what he was. And he can finish at the rim. Trey Donaldson, he can do that, but he can also shoot a little bit. And I didn't realize that. I know he had that big game in the tournament last year or whatever, but he looks good, man. He's a scorer.
I saw him drop some panties last night.
He played well.
Yeah,
he played well off the bench, and if he does that, I think things were trending towards Aiden being the guy. Like, I think point guard minutes would probably be 70-30 Aiden as this thing goes on. But if Trey plays like that thing's going to swing back more towards 60-40. And it'll be more of a Aiden and Trey show and not Aiden and then Trey a little bit. Trey comes off the bench and gives you 10 points and 5 assists and doesn't turn the ball over. He's going to get more minutes than you would think. He played really well. He's just tough. Bruce wants kids that are tough, and Trey's got some toughness.
That's it.
He can jump. He can rebound. Auburn's pretty good defensively when he's in there, and he's got some toughness. Aiden is just.
And Wendell Green was
shooting. You bring in Aiden who can shoot. Trey's shooting a little bit more. Denver can shoot. Chad Baker can knock him down. There's just a few more weapons there shooting the basketball from the outside. I think Auburn's shooting 40% from 3 through the first 3 games. That's top 30 nationally. It's top 30 nationally, and I bet you if I went back and looked last year, they were probably well under 250 nationally.
And I'm not saying Wendell Green wasn't a good driver and a good scorer. He was. I just think there's a toughness factor, like you just said. I think that's the word that Donaldson brings, that Jared Harper also had.
And he's bigger. Wendell was just small. Wendell would drive and take a beating, but he was just really small, and he had limitations that way. And to be honest, he was a little selfish at times, and that's the truth too.
I will not argue.
That's the truth too.
Can Holloway play the 2 at all? I haven't seen that.
You won't see that much. If anything, Trey would play the 2 if they brought them both in. I mean, I guess it could go both ways, but Aiden's pretty much going to be your point guard. I mean, last night again, Aiden, when he's in there, I think for the game, Auburn was like plus 21 when he was in there. And sometimes that can be a misleading stat, but every game he's been in there so far this year, they are just wildly better. As good, like for instance, Trey Donaldson, really good game, but Auburn was only plus 3 as a team when he was in there.
I was going to say 21 was the difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, 24.
24. So there you go. Aiden was 21 and Trey was 3 of them.
Yeah, at one point Aiden had played 17 minutes and Auburn was plus 19 when he was in the game. In those 17 minutes, he just makes them better. Jalen was really good defensively. They were a lot better in the second half. That's something they struggled with in the first 2 games. They did better defensively. So good game. We'll see how they do against St. Bonaventure, who's a little bit better competition, a tick up, probably better than Notre Dame, probably better than Southeastern Louisiana too. So I think it'll be a good little neutral floor. And Bruce said it, like if you're St. Bonaventure, you're going, we beat Auburn. We don't have many opportunities if you're St. Bonaventure in their schedule. We beat Auburn. That's one we're going to hang our hat on if we're trying to make the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So Auburn needs to come to play in that one. All right, let's talk some football. New Mexico State. What did Zach say the line was? What is the line now on this thing?
25.5. With
an
over or under.
Is it a trap? I mean, 8-3 New Mexico State. They've won 6 in a row. Quarterback's really athletic. They haven't played anybody. How do you sort of factor all of those things in?
Speaking of quarterback, I've heard conflicting reports. Is he playing? Do we know Diego Pavia? I think is his name.
Diego Pavia. I haven't seen. Where did you?
Yeah, I don't know. I ran across something
official.
I haven't either. But there's talk that he could be out. I'm not sure. But that guy, he's probably.
I haven't heard anything official yet.
He's probably one of the top, top 5, maybe even higher than that, playmaking quarterbacks in Group of 5 out there. I mean, if he hit the portal, which I think he's a senior. He's been there for a long time. He'd be an interesting guy because he's really good. I've watched him a few times. Excellent player. So he brings problems.
Yeah, I think their coach said he was iffy, or he practiced a little bit earlier in the week. So, it'll be interesting to see if he plays. They're already in their Conference USA championship game. So, do you rest him? If you're them, you're like, well, look, I mean, we're probably not going to beat Auburn, but let's win the CUSA championship. Or do you play him? I bet you he trots out there. If he practiced some earlier in the week, he probably trots out there.
Yeah,
but he's athletic. If he's not 100%, that's a big deal.
Give him a go in the first half, see what happens, and then yank him if you're down by 30.
For those of you who have not watched Diego Pavia, this is the kind of guy that gets hit almost every single play because he lays his body out there on the line, and he's hurt all the time. What I mean by that is it looks like he's limping or he's like messed up his shoulder on a play, and he just keeps going. He does this in every game I've ever watched him in. I watched the whole UMass New Mexico State game, which was week 0, because I just want to see, Auburn was going to play both those teams. And UMass beat them, which is kind of wild. But he was crazy good in that game. And he's been good in other games that I've watched highlights of.
UMass beat New Mexico State?
First week, week 0 of the season, yeah.
Yeah, 41-30, I think.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is, because UMass is not very good. New Mexico State has turned it around and is having a good year. So I would imagine if they played that again, it'd probably go differently.
This is one of those games where it's to me, it's up to Auburn. It doesn't matter what New Mexico State does, even if they played their best game. If Auburn does what they're supposed to do, it's a 30-point win. But can Auburn? They finally put it all together for the first time all year last week. Was that an anomaly? Was this a trap game, like Justin said? Are you looking ahead to Bama?
It makes you question things when you watch a Florida team. We were talking about Florida earlier. Arkansas beats Florida the week before Auburn plays Arkansas and beats them like a drum. And then Florida goes almost toe-to-toe with LSU. LSU pulls away, but, I mean, they had a really competitive game going on there for a little while, and you're like, what? How does that happen? And it's impossible to predict. So, who's more impossible to predict? Is it Florida or is it Auburn? That's the question right now.
I don't know. Auburn, that LSU game is really the anomaly on Auburn's schedule right now. That's the one that just didn't.
Yeah.
As good as LSU is, Auburn had no business losing by 30.
No, I don't think so. Especially not getting down so quick like they did. That was the problem.
Yeah, they got off to a horrendous start.
Well, if you look back, Auburn's last 2 games were on the road. Vanderbilt and Arkansas looked decent against Vanderbilt. You kind of started seeing them kind of put it all together, and then against Arkansas, it all came together. It makes you forget how bad they were early in the season on the road. It was bad.
Oh yeah,
it was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was rough. You're right.
That game at Cal, I'll never forget that game. It was the worst offense since 2012.
Yeah, Cal and A&M were pretty pitiful.
A&M, right?
Offensively, we're pretty pitiful.
But somehow they beat Cal, and it goes to Coles. Hugh Freeze had a formula, man. He didn't give a shit how bad they were going to look. He was going to find a way to win, and he used the same formula. A&M. A&M was just better than Cal.
I thought Freeze's comments were interesting. after the Arkansas game where he said that he wished he'd have put his foot down earlier regarding the offense. I'm not exactly sure what he means by that, but it's like it kind of goes back to so much of what we talked about. And a lot of people were watching this and going, "What are we doing? Why are we rotating quarterbacks? What's going on offense?" And it's just interesting that the coaching staff maybe didn't see some of the issues it was causing. They really tried to like fit a square peg in a round hole, it feels like, for a few games.
Do you think they were trying not to lose instead of trying to win?
I mean, it felt like that. You could look at a lot of what Hugh Freeze said and read a lot into that, whether it's shortening the game or protecting the defense, or there's a lot of things he said, the talent gap. I mean, there's a lot of stuff he said that certainly you could then point to some of those game plans and go, was he trying to be really conservative? Was he underestimating the potential of his offense? Was he maybe overestimating the potential impact on his defense? Maybe not giving his defense quite enough credit. And you had some weird performances in the beginning. I mean, you look at the way the defense is playing now. I would put confidence in them. I wouldn't go out trying to protect them. I'd say we're going to play, and I have faith that they're going to hang. They're going to hang in there. In the beginning of the season, it wasn't. It was a lot of trying to protect the defense and shorten the game and rotate the quarterbacks and try to. Robbie was getting those packages to run the ball, to try to figure out different ways to run the ball and shorten the game. Now I think it's a completely different strategy with the team. It's like a different team and a different strategy right now.
I think it was strategic, and that's just my opinion. A lot of people are probably, banging on the keyboard like, dude, no, he didn't have a big picture the whole time. Maybe he didn't. But Jeffrey, you and I covering recruiting, we know where his mind's been all year. Okay, Justin, you too. You know where his mind's been. He's on recruiting, man, all the time, to the point where he relocated a guy on staff to his, Wesley McGriff is now helping him take some load off of the recruiting, because it's like, I got to have a hand in football. Okay. I think the strategy was, hey, if we have any injuries on defense, we're done, son. And we're going to lose some of these games at the end of the year when it matters the most, when I'm trying to make pitches to these guys. So they got to be good and fresh when we get to those games that we can win. I know we can beat Arkansas. I know we can beat Vandy. I don't think we can beat Georgia. We're going to give them a good shot with a game plan that keeps us safe going to the end of the season. That's how I've been tracking it lately. And that may be totally off. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think that sounds good to me, man. And it's almost okay. So when they played Georgia so close, could have beat them, should have beat them, maybe. He had that play not to lose mentality, that game plan, right? Well, now that here we are at the end of the season with Alabama, do you take that foot off? Do you keep the foot off the brake and go, hey, man, I just don't know if Auburn can go toe-to-toe with them scoring. It'll be. We'll talk about that more next week, but it'll be curious. I'll be curious to see what Hugh does next week against Bama. Does he shorten the game? Does he go hurry up tempo against Bama? Does he lay it all on the line? He's going to be a lot of recruits there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's going to be like you said, Justin. When you look down the sideline, you just see people just standing there, and it's like you can't even see the white of the paint on the sideline because so many people are standing there, and you're like,
yeah, that was always an indicator. Even before I started doing this, growing up, you could just, if you saw that amount of people on the sideline, big game. That's all you needed to see. It'll look like that next Saturday.
It's going to look like you knocked over an ant bed Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned New Mexico State. Is there? I mean, I agree with you, Jeffrey. It's an Auburn game. This is one of those games that Auburn needs to take care of business. I don't really see a scenario where Auburn loses. It's not. I don't think it's that level of trap game, because I think the defense is good enough that New Mexico State's offense is good. I think Auburn's defense will play well. I think the key to this game is just to continue the momentum, the confidence. I think the worst thing to happen would be you win, but Peyton throws 2 picks, and something's just off on offense, and it looks like you kind of just trotted out there and didn't take it as seriously as you should. And that'd probably be the worst thing. Doesn't mean you can't come back against Alabama. If you were looking ahead, I guess you could go out there and perform well, but you just don't want to lose the momentum of three wins in a row. You want to try to take care of business, show some maturity, show the growth, go win this game, 41-10, 41-14, not get anybody hurt. That's probably a big one too. And roll into the Iron Bowl. Just keep the momentum going.
Completely agree, dude. You don't want to go out there, go through the motions and win 24-10.
Yeah. I think Liberty beat them 33-17. That's probably their toughest game they've had all year.
Yeah, Liberty's good. So, yeah, that's actually not a terrible score for a New Mexico State. The thing about New Mexico State is, yes, you should beat them, and you should probably beat them by 25 points, which is the spread. But they're better than you want them to be. Yeah. They're a lot better than you want them to be at this point in the season.
Yeah.
Justin, when you said trap game, yeah, it's not a trap game. Auburn lose. If Auburn loses this, it's inexplicable.
Yeah,
trap game is like I said, go out there, go through the motions, and you win 27-13. It's not pretty, and you somehow beat them by 2 touchdowns because you're just so much better than them. New Mexico State's best game and Auburn's worst game, I still think Auburn wins by 2 touchdowns. That's to me, that's the trap. That's the worst that you're going to fall into.
Yeah.
At least I would hope.
And there's 2 things that you just don't see New Mexico State being able to stop or attack. Basically, they're not going to just run on them all day, I don't think. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
They'll hit some plays. Don't worry. They'll hit a few plays. They're good enough to do that. And then Auburn's run game. Nobody stopped Auburn's run game all year, and they're not going to be the ones to do it, I don't believe.
No.
Get Jarquez 10 carries, Damari 10 carries, Jeremiah Cobb 8 carries,
Bati
7, 8 carries.
That guy's the man.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
You just like, can you get him involved somehow? I know Hunter's got to have his carries, and you don't want to take that away right now. He's hot. But gosh, T's good. And so is Austin.
Man, I was going to say, who's your second best running back?
It's one of those 2. I mean, it could be Cobb before it's over with.
I know it. Which of those 3 are your number 2 running backs?
I think you have a running back room with 4 guys that could go, maybe not every single school, maybe not Ohio State, Georgia, some of these, but pretty much any Division I school, Power 5 school, and go be a starter or get some serious carries.
But he's good. Jeremiah Cobb's great.
I feel really confident in my preseason pick for running back being number 1 position on the team.
Yeah, they've all been good. And you need a big game from Hunter. I think he's at 745 rushing for the year, even after not playing the opener and having just a terribly slow start. I mean, I have to go back, but I mean, it was even after once he started playing, it was 30 yards, 40 yards. But he just wasn't really finding his groove.
Was his first game back at Cal?
Yes.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
And he had 30 yards on, 14, 15 carries or something. It was like, who is that dude? Like, is that Eric Ramsey? I'm sorry, I can't look at 27 and not think of Eric Ramsey.
Here's Jarquez this season. Didn't play against UMass. 53 yards against Cal. 37 yards against Samford. 53 yards against A&M. 59 yards against Georgia. 16 yards against LSU.
Jeez.
And then he caught on at Ole Miss, and now he went 91 and then 144, 183, 109, and now he's at 745. And if he can go out and have 100 yards or so, get to 845, 850, he's got Bama in a bowl game to hit 1,000 yards. Something he could do, which is crazy considering how the first half of his season went.
Following recruiting, running back recruiting, especially Jamarian Burnett, no longer committed to Auburn, and I'm not convinced they're going to take one. So Jarquez Hunter coming back or not, it's going to be kind of a postseason storyline, I would imagine.
Yeah,
and I think just by going off of their actions, it's like they almost expect him to, but you never know with these guys, right? Like some people leave, and it's obvious that they shouldn't, but they're making decisions based off of maybe not on the field. I don't know what's going on with Jarquez. He may come back. I think that's the hope. But it's definitely going to be something to watch. So you look at the past 4 games and you go, okay, now I see why he might be in the discussion. Of course, we entered the season knowing that he could possibly leave after this season because he was that good last year. Then you watch the first half of this season, you go, where the hell is he going to go? What, XFL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I had a really good joke, but I can't say it.
If you're a running back recruit.
I think I know where you're going.
Check a chat, Justin.
I don't even have to see it. I knew that's exactly
what but if you're a running back recruit, right, and you're considering Auburn, okay, I there's all these factors. But if you're into being talked about, if you're into being the man, the running back at Auburn is the man. Okay. Going into the season, what was our storyline? What was the number one storyline?
Clearly.
Jarquez Hunter. I love it. Somebody on the corner was like, I love it when y'all talk about the private chat. Like, I love inside jokes. That's a lot of fun for us.
Maybe one day I could be a part of one.
Yeah. Thanks. Hilarious.
We should do a whole modcast where we just reference the chat and just laugh.
Yeah. Oh, shenanigans.
Zach, yeah, he'll drop some bombs in there, man.
He does.
But anyway, that's my point. He was the storyline before the season. He's the storyline now, and he may not even be like a high round draft pick. I don't even know if he's that guy.
I think Zach said he's the number 22 running back in the draft class, somewhere around there, and that's up there.
Well, really, I mean, how many running backs go in the top 3 rounds now? It's not a
now. Yeah, they're valued left for sure.
So why not go to a place in college where you are I mean, you're valued so high by the fan base.
And people used to leave after their junior years, like what I was talking about, but that was before NIL. Yeah, he's going to make some money next year.
Yeah,
OTV is going to make sure of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the hope. Yeah, I think the hope, and they're cautiously optimistic, unless something crazy happens, that he's going to be back. I think you're going to have the same running back room, and they'll shoot for the stars in this class with the David Eziomume, the Clemson commit. And if they get him, great. And if they don't, so what?
Yeah.
They're in the same position next year as they are now. Yeah, and then you sign Alvin Henderson or somebody, two great running backs next year in the class, and you've got Damari Austin, you've got Jeremiah Cobb, Batee. Yeah. You get them all back.
I think the most fascinating question is going to be, since we're talking about Hunter and sort of his future, is going to be that quarterback. Peyton now is playing better, and you're seeing what he's capable of in this offense, which is some good stuff. That's going to be the fascinating thing of the offseason is what they do there. I still think they go get another portal quarterback, no matter what Peyton Thorne does.
Me too.
Yep, 100%.
And that's fine. It could just make for a really, really competitive. If they go land a dude, man, that spring could be
good.
Be fun with that dude and Peyton being the, and then we'll see what Gurner does. We'll see what, Robbie does. But, Gurner could stay, and Hugh talks highly of him. But that spring could be one of the best quarterback battles in the spring if they go land a dude, if they go land a guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun off season.
Hey, I was thinking this yesterday when Dylan Wade committed to Auburn, Jeffrey, from the portal.
Yeah.
I was at a Christmas party. Right?
I was not aware of that.
So that means it's coming real fast. I mean, we're getting ready to get some portal additions probably soon, if the timeline is similar to last year.
Damn, what is the window? It's December. There's only a week in December, I think, now.
Yeah. But that's a week to enter, and then after you've entered.
I think is it the 4th through January 2nd? Did I have that right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe there's only one window now. A week is the early signing period. I'm
It
sorry.
should be a 30-day.
There's 30, but don't forget all
And then
these coaching changes. They get 30 days after their coach leaves to decide, right?
Say that again.
So like A&M doesn't have a head coach from the day they fire their coach. They get 30
Right.
days to freely enter the portal.
Yeah, how those overlap and does it extend it? Yeah.
I'd hate to be in charge of that. God.
Oh, it's a mess. But I'm sure Jeffrey's looking up. I thought it was maybe December 4th to January 2nd, some kind of 30-day window there, and then you have your 15-day in the spring. And then basketball was cut down because basketball had like a 60-day spring window, and I think that got cut down to like 45. So I think they're both 45.
We'll see what the day was.
It's freaking hard, dude. I will text. I'm sure Jeffrey. I'm sure y'all do the same. I'll ask people that are in the program, like that work for the basketball or football, because I'll forget. I go, hey, what's the portal window again? You know, and they're like, I think it's da da da. Like even for them, it's a lot to keep track of these dates.
Let's see. New transfer windows for FBS and FCS will include a 30-day window beginning the Monday after the FBS conference championship game. So that's the first weekend in December.
Yep. December 4th. Should be December 4th.
For student athletes on teams that compete in the postseason, the playoffs, bowl games, there will be an additional 5-day transfer window following the contest. So you've got 5 days after your bowl game to get out.
Yep. And Auburn will probably lose a couple. So prepare for that. I'm looking at the timeline of Dylan Wade right now. Dylan Wade was offered by Oklahoma, USC, Ole Miss on December 13th.
Ooh, man.
And then I guess he visited Auburn December 18th. We had a story on him then, Jeffrey, and he named USC Auburn his 2, I guess, December 18th, and committed to Auburn December 23rd.
The next week.
Who do you think
That was a huge
Rivaldo? Peyton. I mean, Peyton's the quarterback. I mean, that without him, you may not be going bowling, but for sure. But
was Rivaldo Fairweather the first?
He may have very well been the first. I remember sitting at lunch with a former Auburn staffer when, like, the day he entered the portal. He entered the portal that day, and Auburn was all over him. They were already all over him.
Wow. Auburn offered him. They offered Fairweather on December 5th.
So the offers are coming.
Yeah, it's
after Iron Bowl. After Iron Bowl, it's. Man, I remember last year, dude, the coaching search, the decommitments, the transfer portal outs, the transfer portals offers, the transfer portal visits. Dude, I couldn't wait until football season when things would slow down.
I mean, are we looking at another 20 additions? Because that's going to be wild.
No, right?
I mean, how many people leave?
Yeah, that's
how many people leave?
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Is it dependent on more? Is it going to be more dependent on how many leave because we don't think they're going to necessarily process out as much? So I guess what I'm saying is there's processing out and there's dudes just maybe not wanting to be there. I don't know that. Do we think they're going to process a lot of guys out, or are we just looking at maybe a few guys that are unhappy? I think that number would be smaller.
I mean, like I said, I'm not afraid to talk about it anymore. They're probably going to process some guys.
Yeah.
You have to.
For sure, some, but yeah.
The wide receiver room be a complete overhaul.
Jeez.
It seems like it. I mean, we'll have to see what happens, but it.
They kind of went over there. I mean, Shorter, Hooks, and Martin are busts all of them.
Well, I'm just thinking of recruiting wise. I think Auburn will go get a tight end, get a quarterback, probably 2 offensive linemen, 1 or 2, and then a quarter. Did I say quarterback?
Yeah,
they're going to have
a wide receiver. I would say maybe
they're going to have to get a defensive lineman,
a
corner.
So that's 6 on offense, 5 or 6 on offense, and probably a corner, a defensive lineman. Maybe 5. Let's just say 5, just to be crazy. I mean, now you're looking at 11 to 12 instead of 20. I think that's more realistic, depending on what others are doing. I mean, on the team, unless there was some mass exodus that, everybody got pissed on the defensive line and took off or something. But right now, I think right now, the way things stand, you're looking at 10 to 12.
Justin, you better get your calculator out. Get that scholarship distribution right.
That's good stuff, by the way.
I can't even get that number from people in the football program. I'm like, you just tell me?
They don't know. They don't.
It's insane.
They don't know.
Who they had? They had Kathy Woods got one for the rest of this year. That was a cool story.
Yes.
Is he's a 1-year guy though, right?
I think so. Most of those guys are. Isn't he from Central
Phoenix City?
Yeah.
No. How did
he's from like Washington?
Really?
Well, yeah, because he ended up at Washington. See, where is he at? Where's his name?
And he's played.
He's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, actually.
Oh wow,
Northern Colorado.
But he played at Washington State,
right,
and was pretty good there. And then he played at Northern Colorado. He had big numbers there.
Yeah, all Big Sky.
Decided to walk on to Auburn.
I don't know why I thought he was a Central kid.
Just because he's a tall receiver.
Yeah.
Receiver will be interesting if you bring in the high school guys that you're looking at and can somehow get Cam Coleman. What then do you want to do in the portal? Because I guess if there's a guy there and he's a stud, but if you feel good about those freshmen coming in, I don't know. I guess.
Do you want a couple of guys to bridge the gap?
Yeah.
The gap being the first couple of games.
And the portal's not going to be bare. I mean, they were on a couple of studs last year. Keon Coleman was somebody. I don't know how much they actually recruited him, but I'm sure they would have taken him had he wanted in.
I sure hope so.
Jabari Thrash is another one that's at Louisville now. He's really good. So, I mean, it's not like it's bare. There's going to be some options. What are you willing to do to get those guys? That's the question.
And you got to start thinking about, I don't know, you got to think about what your budget is, right? Like, I don't know that number. Hugh does. What's your NIL budget this year? And, all right, well, look, we got a bunch of freshman receivers coming in. We need, where's the budget need to be directed towards? Who are the 6 or 7 guys that we have to have? Last year it was O-line.
Yeah.
Like, got to rebuild O-line. Where's that going to go this year? I would assume if you can get the right guy at quarterback, that would be one. I don't think they'll take anybody because I think Peyton is showing some good things. But I think the right guy.
Who comes back at wide receiver next year? Javarius, Omari, like who's played enough this year to be happy enough to come back next year?
Well, yeah, that's a different question. I mean, Amari's, now 2 years in, probably hadn't played as much as he'd like.
Does he get encouraged to shop?
Camden Brown, what's his head space got? Javaris will come back. Jay Fair will come back.
It feels like Javaris has been there forever.
Yeah. I think Camden will come back. That's 3.
Johnson Jr., he's a junior. I mean, I don't know where he could go anyway.
And then let's just say 4, just to be crazy. Let's say 4 comes back. You've got 3 right now. That's 7 committed. You add Cam Coleman, that's 8. Whatever's left over minus 10 is how many they'll go to the portal to get.
Was Shane Hooks a 1-year guy? He was a 1-year guy, right?
Yeah, he's listed as a senior.
So was Shorter. So was Shorter and Martiner. Yeah, those are 1-year guys. Burton was the freshman.
There you go, Caleb Burton. There's another one. That's 9. So you go get 1 to 2. Whatever you're missing. You want 10 in that room. However many you have after all the dust settles is how many you'll go get. 1 to 2.
Yeah, at least
they love the young DBs. So that'll be a high priority.
I've heard good things about them. And have you noticed they are actually? I don't know if they're doing some kind of rotation, but they've had Colton Hood play in actually a pretty not garbage time situation. And they've had Terrence Love play in a situation like that. They've had Tyler Scott play. Now, his was a little different. It was later in the game against Arkansas when it was in hand. But
Sylvester Smith
played a bunch.
Has he been? I don't know if he's been out there.
I saw him.
Yeah, earlier in the year he was.
I saw him against Arkansas too. Now, I don't know if he was on the kickoff team or something.
Yeah, I think that was Mark Kelly that made that tackle that you're thinking of.
Okay.
I may be wrong, but they're both 19. I hate double numbers.
Yes.
Don't get me on that.
I think probably the big hole next year is defensive line. Marcus Harris is senior. Lawrence Johnson, who came in for Purdue, is a senior. Now, I have to go back and look because you still got that COVID season is still impacting some of these dudes. So I still don't know if that's a senior, COVID super senior.
Right.
Some of those guys I'm not sure, but Marcus Harris needs to go pro. And so that's the position you don't know. Deron Reed, don't know his status. Haven't really seen him. Bobby Travis played a little bit. So that's the position. I think there's going to be a lot unknown there. I think out there. You got to get a defensive tackle that can move. I don't know who they got. That's maybe one in the portal. That might be a pretty important one if you think you can go find an impact.
They did fairly well in the portal at the defensive line. That they get Justin Rogers. They got Nasili Kite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rogers has another year. He definitely has another year.
Was it just those two?
And Lawrence Johnson.
Lawrence Johnson from Purdue. Zach said the second period is April 15th through the 30th. So I think that would be after spring.
Yeah, that's your after.
Or right there. I remember Auburn started early.
Yeah, they did.
Alabama being in spring ball when it started. They had like a week left of spring ball and the portal was open, which I thought would that be an interesting time going through spring and the portal's open. Like at any point, some kid just walk off the field and
yeah, I'm done.
Today went poorly.
Run another lap. Now I'm good.
Nope. Well, you're up because we're here.
All right, let me give you the J. Lee loser lock for the week.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. This is not a trap game loss, but it is a trap game setback. I'm going to take New Mexico State, my 25.5 points.
Oh.
So take Auburn. It's the lock to win. I am going to listen. I think Auburn looks decent. I don't think there's a big letdown. I don't think it's like 41-10.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 38-17, 38-14, 38-13.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Well, 38-13 would be 25. Yeah, that would be the worst. I'm still taking that half point. So give me New Mexico State plus 25.5. J. Lee's loser right there.
I'll take Auburn minus 25.5. I like Auburn to cover that. Yeah, I think they do. I think they're going to score enough, and it may not all. I think defense is going to rule the day again. It just, especially if Pavia is, roughed up or whatever the deal is with him. Even if he's in there, I think they can handle him. So I think Auburn wins it pretty handily.
What's your score? What do you think?
Let's go 42-10.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I gave Arkansas way too much credit last week. I think everybody did. Vegas did. Everybody did.
Yeah.
They played like garbage.
Bad.
Which I hate it because I love T-Will, love him, but they just struggled. So let's go the other way. I'm not going to give New Mexico State the credit. I'm not going to give them the credit. Let's go the other way and say Auburn comes in there and keeps this momentum going. Here's what I do think about this Auburn team right now. I think that losing 4 straight, the struggles of last year, I think getting a taste of these 3 wins, I think they're just going to remain really, really hungry. I don't think they're by any means a team that's going to walk out there and go, we've made it to New Mexico State. We're looking ahead to Bama. Like, I think they're enjoying playing better now and enjoying winning now. And so I like them to go out there and be focused and be excited about playing, even if it's New Mexico State, and go beat them. I don't think it's a team that's like sitting here with 9 wins. Like, all right, let's get through this one. Let's get to Bama.
Yeah.
No, I think they're just loving having some success. So I think they're going to continue that. I think it's going to be like Auburn. I guess you got to give them a field goal, but let's say 45 to. I almost want to give New Mexico State maybe a touchdown, and that's about it. But they make it maybe 45-7.
I like it.
Let's go 45-7. Auburn, continues the turnover streak. They're so close. I'd have to go back in stats. I don't have access, but as far as I could look back to 99, there was not a season where they had forced a turnover in every single game. They've done that so far this year.
That's crazy.
So maybe there are past that. I just didn't have access to stats every single season, but certainly back to 99, they haven't done it. But yeah, let's go 45-7. Auburn keeps this thing rolling, goes into the Iron Bowl and sets up a fantastic atmosphere of a hot Alabama team.
That'll be your 7 wins there, Jeffrey.
8 coming next week.
Hey, and if they get there, look, credit to. I mean, I think I don't know, Jeffrey. You had them going to 7 wins.
I did, and then I went back to 6 after. Was it A&M? I was like, this team's trash, bro.
Preseason, you had them 7. I had them 7. I had the floor at 6. I was like 7's where they need to be, and then 8 would be, would kind of be upsetting a few people. I think if they get there, Auburn fans would be. I mean, most people outside Auburn thought 5.5, 6 wins. So,
well, Vegas had it at 6.5. If you go over that, it's a successful season. If you get to 7-5, it's a damn good season. It really is. Especially the way you're finishing the second half. Now, if you're 7-5 because you squeaked by Vandy and you squeaked by Archie, and it's just you look like shit. And you watch this team the last 4 weeks or 3 weeks, and presumably 4 weeks after this week. Man, those type of performances give the fan base hope. Like they see some bright at the end of this long ass tunnel they've been in.
Yep.
And to me, that's really important. That 7-5 would go a long way. And listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I've been talking to folks in that building up there. They think they can beat Alabama.
Yes, they do.
I mean, they're absolutely focused on beating Alabama. They don't think, 7-5, we did good, we'll keep it close. They're fully aware that they can beat Alabama, and they plan to.
Well, Hugh said it on the teleconference. I asked him about just big picture. I was like, hey, what's this winning streak do? Not just to the season, but to building the culture, like where you could point back in the spring and say, look how we turned the corner last year, whatever. But part of his answer was, he's like, I wish we had Georgia and Ole Miss back. He goes, I know that's not how it works. He goes, but I think we're playing better now. And he goes, we were right there in those games. And so you could tell in his voice, he's like, I wish we had them back. I think we could have won those games. They could have won them then. He's like, but I think we're better now. So there's no doubt that team thinks they can roll into the Iron Bowl, especially with Hugh Freeze leading the charge. He's going to walk in there and go, guys, been there, done that. I've beaten these guys at their height. You don't think we can beat them? You can leave the room right now because we're about to go do it. That's what he's going to tell them.
This time next week, we'll know the line, but it's because it'll come out Sunday. But what do y'all think the line is right now? What are you guessing the line's going to be for the Iron Bowl when it comes out Sunday?
Alabama minus 7.5.
That's exactly what I've got.
I think it'll be a tick higher. I think it could be 10, maybe 9.5.
Okay.
But I'd probably still say 10, something like that.
Okay.
What Zach say? What Zach says?
Bama minus 10 to 14. That's what I was thinking last week. I was like double digits.
Well, it's 14. There's going to be a lot of people. That's going to come down quick. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of people taking Auburn to cover 14 if it was that. I think 10 would be a good number.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not going to argue with anybody because I wouldn't be surprised if it was 10.5.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if it's 7.5.
I probably undershot it. This is going to be a little higher.
I probably did too. But I'll take Auburn plus 7.5.
Oh yeah, barring a disaster, that game's going to be anybody's game.
One score game.
I think that is the most unpredictable game yet. I don't know what it's going to be.
We have seen crappier Auburn teams beat better Alabama teams.
Listen, I still can't explain 2021.
I've seen a better Auburn team get blown out in Jordan-Hare by
Yeah.
Alabama too.
Just never know, man.
I don't know about that one, man. I don't. And Alabama's hitting their stride. That doesn't make me any more comfortable.
Both teams are hot. Yeah. Both teams are hot.
When I watched Alabama last week against
Kentucky.
Yes. I was like, okay. And I even said it on the college show. I was like, shit, Bama by 10.
I will say this. That was not a good matchup for Kentucky. I mean, obviously. But the way that they do things, it's like a half-court tempo in basketball. They don't hurry up for nothing. And Bama seems to handle those teams. But they do struggle with tempo teams.
Okay. Zach in the back said Bama's rolling. Auburn has struggled against dual-threat QBs. And Jalen Milroe looks like a Heisman candidate. He does. You know, early in the season, Milroe looked like trash. He could throw a deep ball, and that was it. I remember saying on one of these, I was like, you know, take away the deep ball, that dude can't do anything. And I think they got benched the next week.
Yeah. And they're not asking him to do anything crazy. He's not throwing all these crazy checkdowns and intermediate routes. And it's pretty much the short and the deep. And that's what he's good at. And then if it's not there, run. And he's good at that too. And they got really good players around him. Great pass protection all the time. Well, no, I take that back. Pass protection has not been that great for Alabama.
Yeah, shockingly so. Well, really, both teams have figured out offensively what they want to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, that finally Tommy Rees came around and was like, okay, hold on. I got Jalen Milroe, who is just a phenomenal runner. Let's just figure out some things to do around him, and they're awesome. And Auburn's sort of done the same. Give Peyton Thorne the keys, stop rotating quarterbacks, let him get some rhythm, and good things happen. Both teams sort of fixed the offense and figured out how to elevate their quarterback.
And there's two things about Milroe right now. He's collected. He doesn't freak out ever. That's a great quality as a quarterback. And he's a capable thrower. He'll throw a wild one now. He'll throw one right to a defender. He can do it. He still does it to this day. But he's calm and collected, and it don't bother him. And that's why he's, gotten better.
All right, we'll crush talking about the Iron Bowl next week. That'll be a fun week. Make sure you're at auburnlive.com. Right now, there's already plenty of recruiting intel on who's coming for the Iron Bowl. So if you're not tuned into Auburn Live next week, man, I don't know what to tell you. You need to be. It's going to be good just from the recruiting intel alone. It'll be a fun week. Hope everybody has a good weekend. Should be some good weather. And next time we'll talk. I guess we'll try to do this next week around Thanksgiving. I know I'll be out of town, but I'll be available. And so maybe we'll try to record maybe on Friday, maybe not on Thanksgiving Day.
That'd be good.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Subscribe to YouTube, turn on notifications, go to auburnlive.com, $1 for a month. Go take advantage of that. And we'll see everybody next time.